Hello and welcome all to International Leadership Week. We're in the midst of day 2. My name is Jerome Goodluck. I'm a business manager at the Institute of Leadership and Management, and thank you all so much for joining us. And we're joined by an excellent speaker today, Malwina Faliszewska from Poland. Hello, Malwina.
Hello. Thank you for pronouncing my name correctly.
I practiced, Malwina. Thank you. And we're shortly going into our topic, which is transforming your inner critic into a mentor. And we've got a huge audience, and it's a super topic. Firstly, a quick introduction to the Institute of Leadership and Management. Some of you are new to us. We're a professional body that supports a global community of leaders and managers, helping to develop leadership capability. We've been around for some 70 years, and our mission is as urgent and enthused as it always has been to inspire great leadership everywhere. And Malwina is helping us to deliver that mission today. So as mentioned, Malwina is based in Poland, and her topic will take us through building self-confidence and how it can support us with our professional development. I won't share any more because we'll be taken through that. But Malwina is a celebrated coach, trainer, author, and leading international consultant. It's my great honor to introduce Malwina Faliszewska. Over to you.
Thank you, Jerome. Hello, everyone. I'm really happy to be here, and thank you for invitation. And today I have a pleasure to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is self-confidence, but today specifically about transforming your inner critic to a mentor. And some people say that you cannot learn self-confidence because some people believe you are born with that, but I don't think so. You can learn self-confidence, and it can help you be more successful in your life. And I also know how many times it is, especially for women, like we lack self-confidence, and there are some research from Columbia University which shows that women underestimate their abilities by 30%, which, as you can imagine, sometimes it clips our wings, and sometimes we are not ready to reach for more. But today we will talk about our inner critic. But first question to you, of course, you cannot communicate with me, but rating on a scale of 1 to 10, how self-confident do you feel, like overall? Just reflect to yourself, whereas 10 means you are fully self-confident and 1 means you are not self-confident at all. So where you are, think about this number and think, okay, what would have to happen so that I have 1 point more? So maybe just transforming your inner critic into a mentor will be one of the ways to be 1 number, to have 1 number higher with your scale. Yeah, so the webinar will not be definitely about creating any artificial version of yourself. No, self-confidence is not about being arrogant. It's just about feeling, good with your own skin. It will not be also about pressing ahead or like the blind faith that the sky is the limit. Yeah, there are some limits for some people, and it doesn't mean you need to be like arrogant person. But the self-confidence that I would like to inspire you to have more is about self-acceptance. It's about trusting yourself, having more appreciation of yourself. It's also about your attitude, about being, having this I will try or I can do it attitude. And it's also about, stepping out of your comfort zone, and it can help. So why I believe that self-confidence can be learned or can be developed. Of course, it's not the competence, but I would like you to imagine it is a competence, and competence is built of 3 elements. It's a knowledge, skills, and attitudes. And if you look at self-confidence as a competence and you learn something more, you gain some knowledge about how the self-confidence is built in people, how we can develop it. Then you will also acquire some skills about, for example, talking with your inner critic, which I will be talking about today. And you will also work a bit on your attitude. Just for the more positive one, you can step by step develop your self-confidence, and it can really help. And I'm sure this is the topic that I really love, because I also remember myself being less self-confident. It's not that I was very shy, but I know how much I felt valued only if someone gave me, a good word. But if there were no good words or no feedback, I felt totally like underestimated or not valued at all or not worth anything. So I really know that it's a lot about your inner voice in your head, which sometimes can sabotage you or even can spoil your plans and everything. So I believe you can really learn self-confidence, you can develop it, and I hope you will be more sure about it in a second. So just a question for you: what are your everyday thoughts? Just think about your inner voice, the voice that is talking to you all the time, and are your thoughts rather supportive, or do they clip your wings? Just reflect what you hear if you do something, if you are before any kind of important event, sometimes if you are during any presentations, or you are during the meeting, and what your inner voice is talking to you, like at the moment when you just you are preparing to something. Is it supportive and saying you, okay, you're good, you're prepared, you will manage? Or it's rather, oh, I'm hopeless, or something else? Just reflect what is more common to you. And the voice that I just described is the inner critic. And this has a lot of, I would say, faces. And here what you can see on the slide is how it works. And very often it had different, I would say, patterns of acting. And sometimes it's generalizing and labeling us, like it's like, you've heard something about yourself once and you generalize. You think you are always like this. For example, you've heard that you are not good in maths, and probably you have this feeling for the whole life. Or someone told you are not a good leader, or maybe you are not a good manager, and then you believe you are not like this. So this is like generalizing, labeling. There is also a pattern, which means there is about negative filtering. So the inner critic, which uses this negative filtering, is, for example, the situation you had. Let me imagine you have a presentation and you are so stressed, and after a presentation you say to your colleague, oh, I was like hopeless, people, like that was completely bad presentation, I completely failed. So it is negative filtering, because you just forget about what went well and what was okay, and you are only focusing on what was negative. And then this inner critic says that nothing matters, nothing else counts, only this one small thing that maybe was not okay. And if you have you ever felt that? I'm sure you have, because very often I also have that, and with my coaching clients are very often discuss it, that they forget about facts and they feel they focus only on their emotions, and they filter negatively. There is also a black and white thinking pattern, which means that either you feel you are hyper well in something, or you are nothing, or you have everything or nothing. So it's not this kind of pattern, just think that there cannot be anything in between. For example, you are learning another language and you think, okay, I'm great in French, or I'm completely hopeless. Like not seeing that maybe you are in the process of learning and maybe you have like 50% of your goal already done, or 60 or 75. Another one is about blaming yourself. Very often women, like they tend to blame themselves even for things that they are not, responsible for. Oh, I could have just remind this person about something. Oh, if I had done something before, maybe, and then you just have your version. So blaming yourself is feeling guilty for things that maybe you are not responsible for. There is also another one about reading others people's minds. So right now I cannot, I will tell you when I felt that. For example, when I started my training practice and I was in the room with many people, and then you just see those people which, you are in the, like trainer, you see those people, one person is looking at their phone, another one is just, yawing or something. And then you think, okay, probably I'm boring, probably this person is not interested, or probably something. So, or the boss just looked at you like in a way that you didn't like, and you think, oh, maybe he or she wants to just fire me, or I don't know. So it's just reading other people's mind, whereas usually their thoughts, other people's thoughts, they usually do not have a lot to do with us. Just this is also our inner critic's perspective. And there is also looking at the reality through the prism of our emotions. So if you feel not well, you have a bad day or better day, you tend to think about yourself like in a worst, like you tend to think about yourself as you are not good as you are. So there are some inner critics patterns that I just presented to you. Maybe you just recognize some of them, maybe a few of them, but I'm sure that you can recognize the voice in your head that is criticizing us. And this inner critic voice, it's like everyone has it, because it was created during our childhood on the basis of the words, the sentences, different communications that we got from our parents or caregivers. And this inner critic was like it was created in us in order to protect us. Okay, so protect us, and then sometimes it clip our wings. So how it's possible? So imagine the situation when you are sitting and when you are sitting at the I'm sorry, there is someone's writing to me, I don't know. Imagine that there is someone who is I'm sorry, that there is, again, so just this person I just lost my my mind. Okay, again, so imagine that you are sitting in the conference room and you are discussing something, and in 1 second someone is asking a question, and maybe you think about answering this question, but the inner voice starting discussion with you and is saying, oh no, don't share your idea, maybe it's stupid, or just they will not like it, or anything like this. So and your inner critic is just protecting you, because our inner critic wants us to be admired, to be well, so that we are admired, so that we are liked. So it wants us to perform the best. So by saying this, it just protects us from the situation when, for example, we say the idea, or we share or we share what we think, and for example, just this is only like usually it's not the reality, it's only imagination of us, that someone will tell you, oh no, this idea is stupid, how could you even think about something like this? So of course in reality it's rather not possible, but in fact the inner voice is protecting us because we prefer to hear that from ourselves and even feel not well than to hear it from someone real in reality, and then we would feel really sorry. But sometimes if it is too much, I would say it takes too much space in our head, then we just lose a lot. So what does inner critic usually do? So I will tell you. So very often inner critic uses some words like always, never, everything, nothing, or not enough. So these are words that usually are not very much related to facts, but these are words that generalizes a lot. So you can just see the examples. It's like, I always spoil everything, I never meet deadlines, I'm always chaotic, or nothing goes well. So maybe you can recognize some of them, that the inner critic voice uses always this very often these words, which has nothing to do with facts, in fact. So the question to you right now is, if you just recognize the voice, what price do you pay for listening to the inner critic's voice? This is the question you should answer to yourselves. And just think about whether maybe you don't use any opportunities that that appears for you, or maybe you just feel emotionally drained because the voice inside of you, or maybe you just don't change the work, or maybe you are not like sharing all your ideas because you just pay the price for listening to that voice, and you think it's true, but it's usually related to your emotions. Sometimes it's related to the fear we have, but what can help is usually to make sure you understand and you recognize that voice in your head. So you can become your mentor, and you can start changing this inner critic voice into a mentor voice. So each time you hear this inner critic voice, you can ask questions and think what you can learn from this voice. So you can take what's constructive and leave what is not constructive. And the first step, in fact, to weaken that inner critic's voice is, first of all, is to notice it. Because very often we work as on autopilots, and you don't even realize that this voice is talking to you all the time. So probably even now, you know, my voice in my head just behind, just thinking, oh no, maybe you should have closed that, or make sure you close MS Teams, because then on the screen appeared something that someone wrote to you. And, you know, I could just think about it all the time, but okay, I'm aware of that and I stop. Okay, I'm continuing my presentation. So make sure you can see that voice, you can recognize it and notice it. And each time it starts talking to you, you can say, okay, I can hear you, it's my inner critic, and it starts to criticizing me. But then after that, you should think about some strategies that are usually good for stopping inner critic's voice. So critic hates, I would say, or doesn't like questions about details and facts. It also doesn't like strong objection or retort. And if you remember what I've just said about these words like always, never, not enough, or everything, they have really nothing to do with facts. They are generalizing everything we say. So I prepared for you some examples of like some of possible inner critic voice communications, and how you can react to that, and what can you do to just to like change or transform this voice into a mentor. Because the fact is that you cannot get rid of that voice forever. It's not possible. It will be with you all the time, because we are built like that. This is our inner psychological, I would say, we are created like that this voice will always be with us, but what you can change is your reaction to that voice. And this is something I will just invite you to observe and see. So imagine such a possible, very often possible communication, like, wait a second, because I just lost that. Okay, so I just lost, wait a second, I just lost my, okay. So I'm always late. So you can ask like, am I really always late, or has that only happened a few times or occasionally? So this is something that you can ask yourself a question. Is it really true, and is it always true? Because it's really easy just to say things like this to you and feel bad after that. And we just sometimes we are cruel to ourselves, but we shouldn't be. And you can just trying to change that voice into a mentor. You can think, okay, what can I do to change it? Okay, I will try to leave home 10 minutes earlier to minimize the risk of being late to work next time. So you just hear that voice, you ask some questions, and you reply to that. Is it really true? Is that the fact that I'm always late? And if it is that very few times or very many times I was late, maybe I can do something about it. Okay, so this is one thing. Another one is like, I will never finish. I never finish what I begin, for example. And again, you can ask yourself, is that true? That I really never finish what I begin? Maybe I say this to myself because I'm stressed, or maybe I'm stressed that I will not manage to be on time with this current project. Just remember about any other things you did in the past. I have lots of projects that I have successfully completed, and maybe you can ask yourself why it's so difficult for me to finish the one I'm right now working on, and maybe it's difficult for me to finish tasks that I do not like. And this is something different than saying to yourself, I never finish what I begin, because this is very this is like the evaluation of yourself. It's a bit cruel or not nice, but maybe it's not true for always, and you can feel better after like trying to mentor yourself about it. Another one is, I'm hopeless, I completely failed my presentation. So what you can say to yourself, I was indeed stressed, but what are the facts? Okay, I said everything I planned. No one left the room. I got questions and I answered them all. Does it really mean that I spoiled or failed during that presentation, or were there only my emotions? So it's again just discussing with your inner voice, just to so remember, the inner voice hates questions about facts and about facts, just about facts and details. And again, if I were smart enough, I would know how to reply to this question. Okay, so what can possibly be answer to that inner voice? Should I really know all the answer to all the questions people ever ask me? I just started working for this company, and step by step I will learn everything. Now I'm wiser with this experience, and next time before the meeting I will do the list of possible questions to my client that my client may ask. So again, just not to feel bad and guilty and everything, but just take what can be constructive for you from that inner critic voice and use it. And I think I have another one. So just to see the strong objection, once again, I couldn't say no to my boss, and now I need to work overtime. So sometimes there are no arguments. You did definitely, you didn't say no, and now you have a lot of work. But you can say, I did the best I could at that specific moment, and I will work on my assertiveness to work and to avoid such situations in the future. So definitely you can change it, and just you see the that it's quite different than, you know, staying with this bad and negative voice. You can just transform it to help you somehow, just you are so that you are smarter than your inner voice. And just a question for you also, just to ask, what message do you hear most often from your inner critic or from your inner voice? Of course, you don't have to share it. If you want, you can share with in the question pane, and maybe Jerome will read that later on. But it's just auto reflection exercise so that you realize whether you are aware of that or whether you are on autopilot and you listen to that voice, you hear it, and then you feel, you know, upset, not ready to, you know, to take any challenges, because it may happen like this, that this voice will clip your wings. And you can, of course, try to challenge that voice and transform your inner critic to a mentor by asking questions, sometimes telling the strong objection, or just saying a retort and be very, you know, sure about it, what you want to say, because sometimes that inner voice is repeating and, you know, it's coming back, and you can just stop this voice. Of course, it is not so easy as it seems. You need to try. You may maybe you shouldn't believe me. You just need to try yourself. First of all, noticing that voice and then trying to challenge it with questions. And I will promise you that you will see the difference. And this really it can be helpful. And then the last one thing I will tell you why this inner critic voice is so powerful, because it was created in when we were children, in our childhood, and it is like created out of the messages from our parents, for adults generally, for people who were, in our opinion, wiser than we were at that time. This inner voice is when we are adults now, we treat that voice as it is smarter than we are, as it is more like wiser than we are, and that is why it sometimes has such a huge power, and very often it can weaken ourselves. But I hope you will not. I believe that self-confident people, they are better leaders. They are more successful. They are also, when I say better leaders, I mean not more successful leaders, but those leaders who very often share their positive attitude with others. They are more eager to develop other people. They are not so stressed that someone will be better than you are, because of course it's very much related to that inner voice which is in your head. So just coming to the end, I would like to thank you for this short, for listening to my short presentation. I hope that you will take at least one thing and you will try to challenge your inner voice. And thank you very much. I hope that the Jerome will come to me right now.
I'm here, Malvina. Hello, hi. Fabulous. Thank you so much. What an amazing presentation. And half an hour feels as if we're really shortchanging you. It's a fascinating topic, and we're having great engagement from the audience. Thank you. There's so much here. Thinking of self-confidence as a competence, and it's really something you can work on. That was an early point that you made. A couple of quick questions. We need to be fairly swift, but you made a point earlier about women usually being less self-confident than men. Why is this, Malvina?
Because it's related to our childhood and how we are brought up. Usually, when you think about, if you are women here on the, at the public, like the participants, women or also men, just remember your childhood. Whether sometimes we expect from girls to be perfect. For example, at school, I remember that boys and girls had to have a copybook, and those for girls, the teachers expected that it's beautiful, it's low aesthetic, and for boys they only expected that they have one, no matter how it was, how it looked like. And very often we just expect perfection, and we very often heard as a girls that we shouldn't, be boost ourselves, we shouldn't like scream loud, we shouldn't share what we think aloud, and our parents want us to be clean, just quiet and nice, so that everyone liked us. So very often in the adult life, it happens that it took off our confidence, and we behave on the basis of what we were taught when we were children.
And it's great that you're there to transform that into a mentor. So thank you for that. A very, very quick one now, if we may, Malvina. Thank you, William, for wonderful engagement. He shares that he sometimes has more than one voice. He has both a critic and a mentor, one on each shoulder. In a word, what's your top tip for overcoming that critical voice? Shortly.
Yeah. Yes, it's like, as I said, it's like realizing it's talking to you. So this is the first step. Asking myself why I'm so, influenced by this. Am I nervous? Or maybe I'm nervous, or I'm very emotional about the situation. What I'm afraid of. This is also the question can help. What I'm afraid of, because sometimes we are, so emotional and we don't know exactly what we are afraid of. So this is another thing. And my question that I like to ask myself, what is the worst things that would happen or that could happen if I do what I'm thinking about, or if I do what I'm what I'm afraid of? And then if you just realize or imagine the worst scenario, it will help, because you will see this is not so bad. I also share that with my TEDx speech, so you can also find it on the web, on YouTube, and I definitely share that more about inner voice and how this can help.
Perfect. What's the worst that can happen? Well, it's been a wonderful half hour in your company. Thank you, Malvina, and thank you everyone for joining us. There were so many more sessions over the week, so do join in. Henry Mintzberg is just getting ready for his next session in half an hour, so very exciting. Thank you so much to our sponsors, Melbourne and Edinburgh Business School. Malvina has kindly offered to join us on the hub, so please do skip over to institutelm.com and join us for live conversation with the rest of our community. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jerome. Bye bye.